Good
Morning.
My name is Walter Davis, and I was one of the first people at VCU to undergo experimental gene addition, thanks to Dr. Raleigh Smith, Dr. Krieger, and my team at VCU. I just wanted to read this off because I am grateful for the work that has been going in to get these bills passed. My name is Walter Davis. I'm a Virginia resident, a sickle cell patient, and someone who has spent far too many hours in emergency rooms, navigating pain, bias, and inconsistency. Often at the most vulnerable, I'm here not to attack this work, but to stress test it, because patients like me live inside the consequences of what you pass. I want to acknowledge up front, I know these bills took work. I know funding is hard. I know clinicians and advocates have poured real effort into this. I spoke with the leadership from the VCU Sickle Cell Unit, and I respect that labor. But respect does not replace responsibility. House Bill 1418 focuses on awareness and education. House Bill 1391 focuses on coordination and access. Here's my concern. Both bills assume compliance, goodwill, and uniform behavior in a system that has repeatedly proven it cannot rely on those things. So I need to ask plainly, are emergency room doctors, nurses, and hospital staff required to undergo these training, or is it optional? If it is optional, why, given that the ER is where sickle cell patients are most vulnerable and frequently harmed? What happens when a provider refuses to follow an established pain plan? What happens when the bias overrides protocol? Where is that tracked at? Who enforces it? And what are the consequences when these things do happen or keep happening? Right now, the bills talk about education and coordination, but they don't clearly define accountability. There is no mandatory statewide standard. There is no enforcement mechanism. There is no clear chain of command for patients when the system fails in real time. And there is no visible protection for patients who are people, legal or clinical rights when harm occurs. We are attempting to improve a system that is already broken. Without tracking hospitalizations, without tracking repeat ER failures, and without tracking providers who consistently deviate from care standards, that is not a bridge, that is an assumption. So my final questions are these questions. I believe these bills should be answered before implementation. Why isn't this training mandatory at every hospital in Virginia? Why aren't patients' rights spelled out just as clearly as provider guidance? Who is ultimately in charge when coordination fails by name, by office, and authority? And how are we passing legislation without clearly identifying who owns outcomes? If this legislation is meant to help patients, then it must include mandatory ER-level training, clear enforcement and reporting pathways, patient-facing rights and escalation channels, and real accountability when standards are ignored. Awareness without protection is exposure. Coordination without enforcement is a referral loop. Patients deserve more than attention, we deserve structure. Thank you.
Thank you.